last one, it's also not a project of Germany, but it's a project of Netherlands. Rotterdam is Netherlands. Okay, Netherlands. Okay, so what I really like to mention at the first is that city of Rotterdam started to find the problematic areas, but didn't name them problematic area. Didn't put a bad status on it to assess forever. It called it hotspots. And then they just they realized where this problematic neighborhood in our language where they are, and then they said, okay, we will start with a pilot project. Let's see how it works. And the pilot project started. It was a house that city bought it from the private owner and said, okay, I will give it for €1. How many people will come and start to build it, renovate it actually, and then own it. And if you, so the first part, the problematic property estates, is that. And then second of all, municipality bought this problematic houses. Then the private owners, those ones who will buy it for €1, they come, they made the application for it, and then they came to the house. And then these private owners, the current private owners, with the help of the city that put architects, put experts, how to teach them to do to work with wood, with steel, with the others, provided by the city. And then this land was, this house completely was renovated. After that, this house was renovated from this shape to this shape, from this shape to this shape, you can see later on. The other houses in this street, in this neighborhood, also start to take little changes in their house. So whole street start to change after a while, and then this model was implemented in this other part of the Rotterdam that was named as hotspots or these problematic areas. And one what is it?
Example.
No, not example. It was a rule for this house that when these people bought it for €1, they have to live there 3 to 5 years. They own themselves. They cannot rent it. They cannot sell it. And after that, they will receive the permanent ownership of this house. So it was not that they renovated and then they sold it, but they renovated and they start to live there for 3 or 5 years. So they made their own community by start to renovate it from nothing to everything. They start to get to know each other. They start to learn something, some of them, and then after 5 years that they are all living together, they made their own home. Yeah, so that was like this, and then it was implemented in other part of the city too.
I think also even in other cities.
Yeah, also. Yeah.
But did the municipality buy all these buildings?
Yeah.
Or just one, and then it's spread across the district?
No, the plot project was bought by the municipality, and they start to do it, and then the same process was implemented in other part of the city. But first time was only for €1. This Kluishuizen was only for €1. The next one was still cheaper than the market price, but it was not for €1 for sure.
Only the pilot project was
€1.
But in every case, first the municipality buys the house and then sells it.
To the tenants.
Yeah. With this law that they should renovate it.
This is interesting because this might be problematic in other countries, for instance, due to the law regulating public finance. It's kind of stupid out of selling something quite expensive, buying something quite expensive and then selling it under the price, and looking through the eyes of public financing and budget rules and stuff like that. And this might, I'm quite sure, although I'm not completely aware of all the rules that apply in Slovenia in this field, but this is probably impossible to implement in Slovenia at the moment, and a new law would have to be passed first of all to be able, and not on a local level, but on a national level. It's probably strictly forbidden to do something like that. And as we heard yesterday, the city of Berlin in the evening lecture. The city of Berlin was sued by the state due to the fact that they didn't take the highest offer for the buildings because they wanted a special. They wanted to sell the flats to in social.
I understand.
Very important example
Yes.
to prove
Yes.
that if we not allowed to be governed only by money, you know, and
Yes.
but more than by purpose and by aim what we want to
And
have
first
in our
of all,
lives.
nothing is impossible.
Sorry,
It is difficult. First of all, it is difficult, but not impossible.
Sorry,
there is
can you please listen one moment? In former socialistic states, anti-corruption laws entirely forbid going under the price by public authorities. And you need to accept for us it is not, it's impossible, seriously.
Can I say something?
Unless we are not changing the law. And another, we have an extreme discussion because of free Riga, because of our initiative also, whether it's possible even for the rent to go below, what is it, 358 or something like that, euro per square meter. That state has to ask in. So it's like it's an insane situation where all of the former socialistic countries are in.
Yeah, but
With some exceptions, okay.
Exceptions are.
Not in Latvia. We don't have exceptions.
Wait a moment, you are all making mistake about this and just arguing over it with each other. It was almost ruined and it was private owned. It was not bought few million and then sold a few thousand. It was bought also really, really cheap because the owners were not able to really renovate it again. They were not able to pay for anything happens there, and it was ruined almost. You can see it here that it was completely ruined, and it was not even homeless people living there for just having the roof. So city didn't spend million euros buying it and then few thousand to sell it. And then for the next ones, it was cooperation with owners and the cities. So it was not always city lost lots of money over buying it, and that was why also I said that in the next project they didn't sell it €1, but maybe if it was 30 some euro per square meter, let's say, I'm not making a number out of it, but they didn't then sell it 30, they said maybe 25, and it was not so high. I mean, after all, it was also Netherlands.
But still, it's an experimental project.
That's what I wanted to say. I mean, we understand, of course, the logic but the rules are, and the social acceptance of such examples is different in let's say, former socialist countries. But I think this is an experiment. This is an exception to the rule. This is not the rule for further. And exceptions are possible even in Slovenia. I know they are possible, and there are some exceptions that could be used for this kind of. I'm not sure about Latvia, but in Slovenia, I think difficult, but. For a pilot case, maybe.
Exceptions are possible in Slovenia, but if something happens, people are like witches in 15th century, people from public authority, you know.
Yeah, okay, but
And this is the only problem. Like, if you are strong enough to say, I don't care, you can do everything in Slovenia. And the problem is, I don't know for Germany, but public authorities are in the field of bureaucracy instead of in the service for a human being, you know, and this is the main problem. I don't know for you, but everything must be under the law instead of what brings the quality of life. That's it.
but,
Just one question.
yes. Go.
So you said that who are the original owners of these properties?
The first ones, it was
Yes,
just
from
some.
whom is the municipality buying?
It was just an individual owner, like I owned it, and I didn't have the money to renovate it. I couldn't do anything to rent it because it was in the district that nobody should pay to renovate also themselves, so they couldn't do anything.
But are they the user also of this?
No, then I was like there, and then the municipality came to me and said, Ramesh, you are not using it. You don't have the money to
But
renovate
what
it.
if you are also in need and you don't have money to, can the original owner
Yeah, but you
continue
know,
to-
a person who owns like this is not that.
Namash, I will give a few examples. So we have here, in the rural region, a lot of properties, they are not in use. they are not in the interest of the owner. They have it just, let's say they just have it in the pocket, in their stock pocket, and they let's say they win taxes.
It's not like a family.
They make debt. Sorry, just to finish. They make debt with the house, and they can put under down from the tax what they have to pay. So they pay less taxes. They win, they pay taxes, and they have this is a stupid rule. This is but next to them, let's say what we had in Berlin in the 90s. There after the war, the property, it was not really clear. There was a few Jewish clan groups or a few properties, and what we was trying them for really cheap money, when it's not was sort of pressure to pay out the houses and to build in our own, exactly not for €1, but still we had it buy out for, let's say, €3 a meter square. But houses in Berlin, but now the prices are exploding, and then we reconstruct. It is and it gives a lot of, let's say, even properties where they become older, they don't know what to do with them. So it gives a lot of examples where a private person can sell their property for what they want. So even for €1. And it is, I heard a lot of models where houses, mostly, let's say, cultural or something, they are sold or for €1. This symbolic price, €1. It is not just only one. It's not just only this. And I think it will work even in Slovenia and everywhere else. We have to go.
I have a question very fast, just to have a picture of the investment. Okay, they bought it cheap, but it looks like renovation was quite expensive. So how much is like the purchase plus the renovation minus the sale price? How much in depth did they get?
In fact, probably it's like so it's not it's not a model for poor people, no? Because they have then to invest. They buy it for a low price, but then they have to invest their own money in the materials.
What is the difference between if you buy a new apartment versus this?
It's a lot probably. Buy a new
cheaper.
house is probably really expensive, but this one, they just bought material which may not cost that much because then they worked on it themselves. So if you buy just a piece of wood, may not be that expensive. But if you buy furbished and like made wood, then it would be much more expensive. So they just bought, how would you say, not used material, like not furbished material, and then they worked on it themselves.
But you know how much it was in the end, like the gap?
I can, we can talk about it. I can have a look it up for you. Okay.